Good afternoon and welcome to Chitchat with Lawrence Law. Today I'm so super proud to have this amazing lady, Yvonne Bennett, joining us. And Yvonne is, let me just check my notes. I'm sorry, I always have to have these, as you know. She's a wife, she's a mum, she's a grandmother, she's an author, she's a ex-football widow, and she's just an amazing person. I can't wait to get this interview undergoing. Thank you, Yvonne, for coming.
Oh, thanks.
So I was just wanting to start with maybe a couple of wee bits of stats, which I do give to most people that come on. So there's 12,000 people have died in the UK of asthma since stats began in 10 years.
It's terrible.
This just, every time I say it, I get shivers because I just think her wee face is one of those 12,000 people. And I just, can't believe it. Anyway, so, right, before I go into all these stats, right, how's Sid? Do you want to talk about Sid?
He's absolutely gorgeous.
What's his full name?
So his name is Sidney Walter Bennett.
And we all know who he's named after.
Named after. They love the name Sidney. And Sarah, my daughter-in-law, who's from the West Country.
This is our grandson, by the way.
Grandson.
Sorry, we didn't tell you.
And, my oldest son's wee one. And when she was pregnant with him, she said, right, one of the rules is no football names. We're having no football names. And then she was a nursery teacher.
Right.
She worked in a nursery and did all the baby rooms. So like, half the kids, she's been doing that for years.
Yeah.
All the names, she'd go, no, I didn't know what that wee one was,
Remember that?
Yeah,
my
mum
was the same. Yep.
It's awful. So anyway, but they loved the name Sidney. And then Stuart just said, do you think Walter goes lovely way? And I tell you that the day that they unveiled Walter's statue, so like even our kids, nobody knew what his name was, but John and I knew, and obviously Stuart and Sarah and her mum and dad. And the day that they unveiled the statue, John took Ethel, Walter's widow, aside and said, Ethel. So then the two of them were greeting.
No wonder. I should just say that Yvonne is wife to John Bennett, the amazing chairman of Rangers. Ex-chairman, previous chairman, and one of my heroes, can I just say. So I'll give you some more stats. Did you know that 368,000 people in Scotland live with asthma? 5.4 million people in the UK, and 1 in 11 children in the UK are living with this debilitating disease.
Terrible.
It's just heartbreaking. And to think that some people in England, as you know, have to pay for their scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine having to pay to breathe. That just gets me. That sticks in my gut. But am I right in saying you don't need to pay for children's ones?
You
Is
don't
that right?
pay for kids. You don't pay when they're still at school.
Right.
I have a funny feeling. I mean, I'd need to check that, but I don't think you pay if they're at full-time university or college.
Right.
And also, because our oldest son's on other medication, he had a spinal bleed when he was 15. He was paralysed for a bit, and so he's on all sorts of medication. I mean, he's fine, 95% fine. He's fine on now. But so he pays X amount per year. Now, again, I'd need to check it. It used to be about £160 a year, and then you got all your prescriptions free.
Right.
You pay that up front, and then that's you done.
Yeah.
So I think they were saying in England, less than 20% of people pay for their prescriptions.
Wow.
At full price.
Right.
You know, it's a case of if you can pay, you do
it
pay.
It just gets to me though, but that you've got to pay to be able to breathe sometimes.
So I think if you're on, if you're on full-time inhalers, you would probably pay the 160 for the whole year.
I had one follower, I think she was in America or Mexico or something like that way back at the start, and she messaged me privately to say, I've got to choose whether my child eats or breathes because we pay for them over there. And someone had actually wrote to her, see if you pop over the border to Mexico.
Or if you go up to Canada.
Yeah, it's so much cheaper than in the USA. Well, we're talking about the USA. I haven't wrote it down, but...
Oh, God.
What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts?
Absolutely and utterly stunned.
I am blown away.
I've got a friend who's out in New Jersey. She is heartbroken. She's a mum and a granny. She is heartbroken.
Yeah,
but
I was so invested in it. I stayed up most of the night.
I just cried. But I mean, I was seeing the day. I think it was in the Independent, that those conservative, the evangelical ones with the Project 2025 have come out and said, it is real.
Oh, what was that noise there? Do you know, one time we were recording in here, and Chris said to me at the end, he went, did you know there was a big orb? I was sitting where you were. I was getting interviewed that day. And there was a lovely big white orb was across my head the whole way through it. And you know how much I love my spiritualism.
Yeah.
So do you know there's 60 million inhalers are issued each year in the UK? You think, somebody said last week, see, war and illness, that is their biggest money-making schemes for the governments, isn't it?
It is.
But it's a 60 million inhalers each year. That's just, it blows me away. So now I am aware that you used to be a nurse. Do you want to tell me all about that?
Yeah.
I
left school at 16. And I'm that old, so old, that I went to one of those youth opportunity programmes.
Oh,
do you
so
remember
did that
them?
YTS, yes.
YTS,
Yep.
and it was like we got paid. And I went into a care home,
Right.
worked in a care home, because I wasn't old enough to get into nursing. You had to be 17 and a half.
Right.
I don't know if that's still the same. And I worked in this care home. Now, we worked shifts. I worked night shifts, 12-hour night shifts. It's probably illegal now for £33 a week.
Oh, wow.
Saturdays and Sundays, and that. But you were like, that's what you did.
Yeah, that's it. I think I was $27.50. I went into the business side of things.
Did you? It was £33 a week, and that was your shift allowance and everything.
And I had to pay £10 digs off of that
so
as
did
well every
I
week.
had to pay my digs, and because you did, that's what you did.
That's it. When you're brought up that way, you had to do it.
We paid for digs, and then I trained at Gartnavel in the Western, and then I worked in St Margaret's Hospice at Clydebank.
Oh, lovely.
I worked there, and then I went into the district. I did a lot of terminal care in that in the district.
Was it?
And I have to say that working in a hospice, you see the people you work with, they are the best.
They
people.
are just angels. Everyone knows I've had bowel cancer, and I did actually die on the operating theatre. It was a 2-hour operation. It was turned into a 9 because it was attached onto my fallopian tube, my ovary, my appendix all came out at the one time. So I'm cut from one end right down to the bottom. And then sitting going through like 6 months of drilling chemotherapy and
awful.
Not drilling, grueling is the word. I'm drilling. 6 months. 1 week I was on the drip in Gartnavel in the beats, and I must admit they were absolute angels in there. And then 3 weeks a month I was on the tablet form, oxaliplatin I think it was called. Can't remember, but it was hard.
It's
hard going. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? Never again. I don't think I could ever go through that ever again. I've done it once, and I thought I don't have any more fight in me.
No.
But then again, I keep coming up with these ideas, like the UK's first ever asthma podcast. So yeah, I'll just keep fighting on as best I can. That's all I can do in Lauren's memory. I was talking about COPD as well, because there's quite a lot of people on my page have come up with COPD. So I don't know if you learnt about this as you were nursing as well, like what kind of...
A wee bit about it, and then my dad, who died, I was just saying that earlier, died the same day as Jimmy Bell. My dad had...
Now that's a sign for them to be together.
So my dad had problems with his chest. Now they always thought, 'cause he was a cop, he was a policeman down in Greenock, but before that he was a joiner.
Right.
He built Wester Hales up in Edinburgh.
Oh, right.
That. So it was a lot of asbestos in those days. Yeah. And he had a bit of a problem with his chest. Now my dad then got COVID that first March.
Oh, jeez.
And went from a very fit man to being a fit man in his 80s to being 24-hour oxygen therapy.
Oh, jeez.
And then he died. It was awful. It was 2 years of horrendous stuff. And then he died. And they did a post-mortem because they thought, well, it might have been the asbestosis. But it was COVID scarring.
And it scarred his lungs that bad, did it, really?
Scarred his lungs that bad.
I must admit, touchy wood, when I did have COVID, it didn't affect my lungs whatsoever. Yeah. But my stepdad actually passed away of asbestosis as well. And that was a long, grueling journey as well.
It's terrible.
We had him at home, actually. Yeah. My mum's in the studio as well, you're listening. Yeah. We had him at home, and we took it in turns to look after him. Like my mum would take an hour sitting with him, then I would, and we try.
It's hard. I mean, my dad was at home as well. My poor mum, she just ended up skin and bone, because it was during COVID, so we're down south, we couldn't come up.
Yeah.
My brother's in Tinnabrook. My mum and dad were in Gourock. He couldn't come over.
No.
Because you weren't allowed to. So my
That's
poor wee
right,
mum,
because of lockdown, yes.
My poor wee mum ended up having to,
Oh, bless. And did you have to go through the funeral in COVID with...
No, so he died after COVID. So he died after... He lived for 2 years, so he died... What was that? May 22. May 22.
You can take a blessing that you got to celebrate his life properly kind of thing.
The thing was, he didn't want a funeral.
Oh, did he not? No.
So, and of course, my brother, it was funny because it was no funny, but he died, and my brother went the undertaker and she was like, right, funeral. And he went, my dad didn't want a funeral. And he's like, it's not because we didn't love him and it's not because we don't have the money. It's just that was his wishes. And she said, that's funny because a lot of people since COVID are choosing not to have a funeral, but to have a memorial.
Yeah, like I said,
After
celebration
after the grief, you know.
Yeah.
He left specific instructions about what to do with his ashes and all that, but which we did. But but then my mum died just a few months later. But we did a funeral for her, and then I put in the Greenock Telegraph that it was actually for the two of them. Yeah. So everybody came.
I know that would have been really hard for you, but like, see, with Lauren's birthday being January and then her anniversary February, I kind of think it's better to get it all over with at the one time, you know, and then you've got the rest of the year to get on with
done.
Normal life, so they call it. But I was quite lucky that we went into lockdown just the week after Lauren's. I call it goodbye day, because I hate seeing a funeral for a child, and I call our coffin a forever bed. Because I just think that's her. She's in her bed forever now, you know. And a coffin is just a bit of a chilling word to me.
It is.
Especially when it's a child in it. But we had, I think there was between 400 and 500 people outside. I don't remember. The only part I remember is coming out of the crematorium and seeing all these swarm of faces, and I just don't remember.
Can't take it in.
No, it was too much. So COVID, I've heard it's on the rise again recently.
Well, John and I have both had flu. We thought it was COVID, but we tested it was flu, so that's on the rise as well. We said to the doctor the other day, and he said, "No, it's." I
was watching something. Do you know that Dr. Ranch? It's on Lorraine in the morning, STV in the mornings. He was saying there's four big viruses going about: the novovirus, the what's that one? The lungs, something else to do with the lungs. I can't remember.
Oh, that is it. RSV.
RSV. That was it. That was it.
Because that was the thing we had to keep away from the wee one, and we don't see him that much because they don't live near us. And we had to cancel because you couldn't give him. We were terrified. He's only 4 months. God.
I know, and you'd just be scared of what you pass on to them. I know. So 1.2 million people in the UK are living with COPD, with up to 2 million people undiagnosed with it. It's just, the stats are frightening, and the more I look into it, you know, the more I get determined to just keep fighting. Exactly. So, and air pollution as well. Now, with you being in the nursing, this might interest you. 5.1% of adult deaths in the UK are now down to air pollution. And this is all down to, I suppose, cars, aeroplanes, and the smoking and all that. And it's just, I don't know if you've heard about Ella's Law.
Is that the wee girl that died with the asthma and they put it down to air pollution?
And she was the first.
London?
Yes, down in London. She was the first. She was only 9. She died in 2013. Ella's Law. Please have a look up. And she's the first child or first person in the UK to have air pollution on her death certificate. Our mum got a little payout from the government a couple of weeks ago, I think, as far as I'm aware. Yeah. And I had a follower writing to me, how much compensation does she get? And I said, well, I'm sorry, I am unsure. She went, is this Ella's Law? And I said, I'm Lauren's Law. If you want to look up Ella's Law, here's the link. There you go. I'm afraid I can't comment. Well, I'm just wondering as to how much she worked with the ex-mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. I say, seriously, none of my business. I had to stop the conversation there. You know, that is, I mean, good luck to our mum, because no amount of money will ever bring her daughter back. And you know, who knows what she's going to do with this compensation, because it could be for something for the good. So nobody should ever judge. I hate judgmental people. I hate it. So do you know also it causes premature births or even low birth weight? This is air pollution. It can also cause dementia in elderly people as well, which we were just at Parliament quite recently, the Scottish Parliament, and there was a lot of asthma campaigners were there, but there was also a campaigner for dementia, and that's why we got talking to her, and we didn't know that air pollution causes dementia. And especially like London, Glasgow, Edinburgh city centres, you know. So Ella's Law, as I say, was 2013. She died at age 9. Imagine.
I know.
9 years of age, you're only... I'm getting shivers. So how did you first hear about Lauren's Law? Can I just say thank you for supporting me? Since Yvonne has heard of us, she has been an amazing, huge support to every charity event I do. The whole point of my charity events is to try and raise funds for a Lawrence Lodge where people can come out of hospital and get a break on us free of charge. So how did you first ever hear about us?
TikTok.
Oh, there we go. There's big faces everywhere.
So you were on TikTok, and I think Leanne Orr
had
maybe reposted it or something, because I was following her.
Leanne's one of my favourites.
And I can't remember the guy's name. He did all the dance.
Gary Patterson. Yeah.
But
all their besties.
Oh, brilliant. So I think they had both reposted it and stuff.
It out.
And then you were doing a football match, and I thought, oh, well, we can help.
Yeah.
Do something for them. I couldn't get up for it, but we could do something for it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could have got up and John was around, we would have come up.
Yeah, I know I know that now.
Yeah.
But Yvonne had messaged me privately on TikTok and says, what do you still need? And I says, I need my balls. So very kindly donated money to buy the balls. And a wee quick story, it took me a wee while to understand who you were, because like I know the players on the pitch, but I don't know anything about the background. And we all know Wendy Wu, who's got the biggest Rangers account on TikTok. She's just my bestie, my sidekick, my buddy, and Yvonne's friend as well. And Wendy had noticed you were commenting on my TikTok one day, and she went, you do know who Yvonne is? And I went, yeah, Yvonne Cook. Yeah, that's the lady that gave us the money for the footballs. She went, no, you do know who she is? And I went, no, who? Yvonne Bennett. And I went, who's Yvonne Bennett? I don't know. She went, the chairman's wife. Well, I nearly collapsed then. I was like, no way. But see, now I've got to know you. I don't need to be posh or anything. I thought, I have to do it. But that's why I'm so proud of you, but because John is Knightswood.
He's from Knightswood, born in Partick, raised in Knightswood.
Right, because
we went to Knightswood secondary.
We did have family in Knightswood. Mandy came from there. Her birthday was actually the 12th of July, and my gran passed away on the 12th of July. So that's they two together as well. But I love to see people coming from small backgrounds and making it in this world.
Absolutely. That's
the people that deserve it. So can I just say I was a little bit in awe when I first found out who you were, I must admit. Talk about John Bennett. How is he doing? How is he?
He's all right. Actually, I was just saying earlier, he's gone fishing today. He's a massive fly fisherman.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You're a fishing widow, aren't you?
I'm a fishing widow. So he's a massive fly fisherman, but he's actually not been able to fish this season really at all. He's really not.
Yeah.
But today he has gone to do grayling fishing. Honestly, he's been boring everybody. He gets the flies that we all have to look at them.
My stepdad was exactly the same. My mum can tell you about being a fishing widow.
Every holiday we ever go on, there has to be fishing.
Yeah, I remember Chick taking us out in a boat in Lanzarote, and we saw those, what was that killed Steve Irwin? Was it a stingray? And
stingrays.
Look at them, and I'm so, I don't like those big things.
Oh no, he just gets the wee trouts and stuff. But anyway, he's gone, and this is a huge thing that he's actually been well.
Yeah, I was going to say that is very positive for him to be able to get out and do it. So
I mean, he's been told it is a long journey, but he'll be, we'll get there.
Of course you will. Yeah. We all do in the end. But just know that my thoughts and prayers are with you both all the time. How did he become to get to where he was in such an amazing job?
God. So we met when we were 19. He's 5 days older than me. See those 5 days? See, when he hit 60 and I was still 59 for 5 days.
Yes.
I'm like that, 5 days. But he, so when I first met him, he worked at Clydesdale Bank. He was just a bank teller. So just a bank. He was a bank teller. He left school at 16. And he was a bank teller. But he's always just make a secret of this. I mean, he just scraped in his arithmetic O level and he failed his maths O level. Right?
Yeah.
But he's brilliant with figures.
Right.
So, and the way he works things out, I think that's really complicated. But that's just what, and he always had a fascination for stocks and shares. So he went into the bank, and they obviously saw something in him, and they put him on a graduate trainee scheme.
Oh, amazing!
He was only 17 at that point, and which escalated him right through. And then when we met at 19, and when he was 20, they transferred him to London.
Right.
So we went down to London. We were there for a year, and he said, "There's just something. It's still not enough." He wanted something else. And then he saw an advert and they were looking for trainees in fund management back up Edinburgh.
Right.
And he applied, and we were up on a wee holiday, and he got an interview, and honestly, he had to borrow his brother Gary's shoes, which were 3 sizes too big, stuffing paper in them. And he went for the interview, and they went, "Okay, well, you've not been to uni, but because neither of us had.
But they saw there's something
but there's
in him.
something there, so they gave him the job. And then, I mean, it's all that sort of taking a risk. And of course, at that point in the bank, that was a job for life.
Absolutely.
And people were like, "You're off your head, you're mad, what are you doing?" We moved back to Edinburgh. We lived in Linlithgow at the point, and we'd only been back, I think, 6 weeks. And that there was a big, massive crash, Black Monday it was called. And literally, half the jobs went. And out of the trainees, I think at the time there was 6 trainees. They got rid of 3 and kept 3. They literally pulled the names out of a hat because what else did they have to go on?
Yeah.
And luckily enough, he stayed.
And that
he
started
stayed,
him in
and then
good
that
stead.
started him. And then he was, just before our oldest was born, most of the team he was working for left to set up their own company. So I think we're literally left with John. They were like, oh, well. but again, it was a challenge, and he went, right.
He loves a challenge, I take it.
He loves a challenge. And from that, it just grew. And then again, that was another job for life. And then this guy, Gilbert de Botton, down in London, was looking for a European.
What a lovely name.
I know. He died as well, quite young, but I think his son's a philosopher or something. He writes weird books. But anyway, he again said, come and I'll, if you want. But if you don't make it, you will be, you're gone within months. And again, it was another risk. But we moved back. We moved from Edinburgh with the 4 kids. We went back down to London. And he just... Yeah,
he just flew.
Because it's a funny thing.
He's got it.
He's got it, and he'll say literally, fund management is like gambling.
Yeah,
with other people's money.
Do you know what? Realistically,
that's what it is. It's a gamble. Is that going to go up or go down? But he's got this. He always has this gut feeling.
Yeah.
Quite often,
and I always say, go with your gut feeling.
And he goes
whatever.
with his gut feeling, but he's got. I suppose it's like lots of things, like being a football player or whatever. If you've got the natural. Feel for it, then you're going to do well. So that's what he does.
Because I'm a talker, as you can tell. I can't count. I cannot count.
He's terrible if you ask him how to.
I can talk for Scotland.
But that's it. But we all say, the wee guy for Knightswood.
The wee guy for Knightswood done well. That's what I can say.
He's done well, and then he sort of got involved with Rangers, but only after certain people.
Yeah,
he wouldn't touch it until certain people had gone, and then he was on the board for 10 years.
Was that how long he was?
10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Well, he'll be enjoying his break now.
Yeah.
No responsibilities now. Time to enjoy little Sid.
It's difficult. I mean, last night, obviously, with the game was on, and 2 of our sons were at the match. They'd gone out there, and his brother was there, and his nephew were there, and they were offered at dinner. But he would have been there.
Yeah,
so
of course.
He didn't watch the game. He's not, he's not watching them at the moment. But he said, I just miss going out there with my boys.
He'll miss the actual game, the actual football of the game.
Because
that's what one of my best friends says. He says I might be a Celtic fan, but I like the leather thing they kick about in a pitch. He says that's what I like. I'll walk about with.
Well, John's been a fan all his life.
Yeah, I know that.
His dad, his uncle, everybody. They're all. His cousin's a big fan. I am Alan. So they're all fans.
I tell you how Lauren. I had it written down further on in the interview, but I'll tell you now while we're talking about it how Lauren got into it. Many years ago, I don't know if you remember a film called Just Another Saturday.
Yes.
Aye. Well, Matt Uncle was in it, and he was playing I can't remember if it was the cymbals or the drum up in Blythewood Square. And all of a sudden, Lauren just took to watching this video, and she was dead quiet one day in the room, and she'd shut the curtains, right? And she was 4 years of age, and she's sitting whistling. I won't say what song it was, but sitting clapping her hands to this wee certain song. And I just thought, wow. And then she always wanted to go to the walks, and it wasn't for bigotry. It was because my grandparents used to play he would say put my party tunes on, and it was the old music, and it was the fun of watching them all. And then eventually with our best friend Darcy there, her granddad had got them the season tickets in the Broomloan since they were tiny, so granddad would go and sit elsewhere. Granda Billy, he's no longer here, he's up there as well. But her and Darcy, they thought they were so grown up sitting in the Broomloan. So see when Lauren's memory slab came, where did it end up being? In the Broomloan, right at the gate that she used to go in. So I'm like, right, it's all a sign. It was all meant to be. So, and one day actually, my mum and my grandparents stayed at Mulgai, and we were going down to It was Murray Park at the time, but Auchenhowie now. And she's like, Mum, please. She always used to say, Mum. But I looked after my gran every second day out there. She was that old, she couldn't walk. So she said, Mum, please, can we stop off and go and see the boys, please? And like Lee McCulloch and like Sasa Papatch, Chrissy Burke, they all got out. They all knew her by name because she was that tiny and cute with this wee blonde hair. And she'd just do that with the ball and throw it in their face and not say, can you sign that for me or anything? And I remember one day I was standing, I was waiting, it was Walter's last day, right? And I was waiting for him coming out. It was the first time he was leaving. So I was waiting for him coming out, and my mum and my stepdad were at the shop, and so I had to phone my mum and say, Mum, it's pouring, can you drop me off a jacket down there? So she drove by, she couldn't stop, as you know, you can't stop outside, and she just threw the jacket out to me. So I stood for 6 hours to wait for Walter's signature. And I remember when Ali came out and the wee girls are going, oh, it's only Alan McCoist. And I went, step aside, children, Mummy's turn now, Mummy's turn this time. So, but yeah, plenty of good memories. Lauren had me standing down there for hours and hours at times. I did say to you earlier on about your favourite memory of Walter, but
I never met him.
But even from TV, there's so many. I mean, see that interview about Gaza, the way he spoke to him. I won't swear on camera, but yes, I love that interview. But I was going to just tell you quickly this wee quick story about Edwin, and I was going to bring the teddy today and I forgot, but I've got a wee... it's a unicorn, and I'd went into Build-A-Bear to get Lauren's voice in them. One for Darcy's Christmas and one for myself. And I thought I'd walk back home. And as I was walking along, I saw the bus parked outside Glasgow Cathedral, and I thought I'd sit down for a wee minute. And it turned out to be Walter's memorial. And I kind of recorded people walking by, and I was in awe of the people that were there to say goodbye and as a mark of respect. Yeah. So it was a lovely wee moment for me to sit. Lauren was already gone by then, so I sat and I had quite a few tears to myself, and just remembering back to the day when I met him. He's like, oh, probably. So we've spoken about Lauren's Love of Rangers and the balloon release. Did you know me back then when we had, so... We reached the 100,000 signatures, and Wendy, I was all in awe that Wendy Wu had followed me back on TikTok. You know, I was like...
It took me, I think, a month, 2 months before she was able to follow me.
All right.
Because she ended up with a funny thing where she could only follow so many people.
Yeah, you're only allowed to follow 10,000 people back, yeah. And a lot of people say to you, look, why don't you follow so many people back? Because a lot of people don't have, actual pages. It's just a profile for them to watch on. Yeah. So... like, if I'm going to follow people like that back, then I don't get to see who I want to see on my For You page or my following page. So I follow back, I don't mean important people, but people who've got asthma or lung diseases, or what I'm getting now is a lot of people that have lost children that are coming to me now as well for bits of advice. But the balloon release, so we got the 102,000 signatures, and Wendy said 10:30 at night, the night before. She went, you must have you reached out to Rangers to ask if anyone's coming out? And I went, no, I don't have time, sorry. So the next day I'm running late, right? I says, I'll see you there, Wendy. Never met her before. So the next day I'm running late in the taxi, got all my balloons and all that, right? Big crowd had came from all around Scotland. My mum phones me, hurry up, you've got visitors here waiting. I says, I know, I'm coming, I'm going as fast as I can. I'm running up Copeland Road, and I get there, and who's standing? Marvin Andrews and Gordon Jury.
Marvin Andrews, a lovely guy.
Lovely, honestly.
Lovely
and Gordon Jury's cuddling me, and he's saying, calm down, Elaine, you're here now, it doesn't matter. It was Armed Forces Day, so they had to get back inside. So I'm like, oh, I'm so late, they had to let us go so quick. And then they laid a wee rose down at our memory slab for me. So I feel very privileged that I've got so much backing. Yeah. And I always say it's been from the Rangers family. It's not just one person, obviously. It's a family.
It's a family. It's a real community.
It's in your blood.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's in your blood. See, once you're born with it.
Yeah, I had to marry into it.
Did you? You had to marry into it.
And then all the kids are in it, so that's fine.
You see Vicky McGrain-Ray that I had my first, she's the head of Asthma and Allergy Foundation in the Glasgow branch.
That was lovely.
Well, her daddy is Danny McGrain from Celtic.
Oh, right.
So I said, here. I said, now I know where to come to get some hospitality.
For Celtic.
She says, Elaine, it's like pulling teeth. She says, no way, honestly, there's no way way of getting anything off them. So, but what I do is I email Celtic themselves, and they offer
same. They're all
a tour for 4 or something like that.
I know what the hate or the rivalry and everything, but the actual people behind the scenes,
absolutely.
They're all just ordinary, lovely people.
Yes, yep, and that's what even the footballers. I mean, do you remember that day that you gave me the hospitality, right? And,
yeah.
And that I was with Darcy that day, and she says, "Can we go out and meet the players?" So I said, "Right, okay." So I don't know if you saw this video. I think you did, right? So Alec Ray used to go to school with Lauren's dad. Right. So I shouted, "Alec, come over. Do you remember John Reid?" And he went, "Yeah." I says, "We lost our daughter Lauren, blah, blah, blah." And I says, "Will you say you support Lauren's loss?" "No problem." So he done it, and then Philippe Clement done it. Deser's done it.
Oh, did he?
And then Tav's going round, and Darcy's saying, Tav doesn't touch any fans, watch him. So he said to me, "I support Lauren's loss." So I burst out crying. And Darcy went, "James, you've made her cry. Came back and gave me a cuddle."
Oh, lovely.
I says, "Oh, you've made it worse." "Don't do that. You've made me worse." I still get a wee bit in awe sometimes. I do.
They're just lovely. I mean, Philippe, what a lovely man. He's a gentleman. A gentleman.
See the kids. I think it was Connor Goldson kids was playing with. Was it Tav's kids? And they were running up and down with their wee strips on them. My heart was melted. So enough talk about Lauren. Anyway, sorry. So I'll tell you that story in a minute. Let's talk about your new book. Did you know that Yvonne Bennett is an author? Yes. And she's had a book published. Now I'll let you talk about that.
I've had 3.
Oh, 3? Did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, 3. And the 4th one's underway.
Oh, right, fantastic.
Yeah, so no, that's.
Well, I'm looking for someone to help me write a kids' book for. And
well, there you are. I'm your person when this one's done.
I've got the name. I've got the idea all
brilliant.
in my head. Right, fantastic, perfect. Brilliant. So let's talk about your book.
So this book, and again, it's all come from TikTok. So
you can show it out and advertise it.
Yes. I know. I always say to people, don't buy it. It's dead expensive. We're just
not at all. Buy it, everyone. Get on Amazon and please buy this.
So it happened like my mum. I've seen my dad dying during COVID, but my mum had become very unwell, and in the end, we had to put both her and my dad had to get into a care home. My dad only lasted a couple of weeks, and then my mum was in this care home. And I have to say, the Balmoral care home up in Giffnock, I mean, just amazing. It's like being in a hotel. I mean, absolutely amazing. The staff, they've all worked in these, for this woman that runs them for 10, 20 years.
Yeah, and it becomes a family.
You know that's good when they're like, as a nurse, you walk in and you just go, "No, this is good." Anyway, I'd come up because my son was getting married, or Stuart was getting married 4 times. It was 3 times it was cancelled with COVID, but he was getting married. So I've come up to see my mum, to take her out, to get something to wear to the wedding. And I've come up, my brother and I had taken her out for some dinner, and that was fine. Took her back to the care home. I went back up to my daughter Faye's. She lives up in the West End. And I'd only just get in the house, and the phone went, it was the care home saying, "Your mum's had a fall." She went to go to the loo, she tripped. She's broken her hip. So she lay on the floor for 6 hours.
Oh, my word.
No, there was nothing. My mum was tiny, I mean, by this point. And so she lay there for 6 hours. Then eventually, or 5 hours, I'm lying here, 5 hours in the ambulance eventually did drive. The staff were in bits because...
Was that because they couldn't pick her up?
They couldn't pick her up
because of the injury,
because
maybe?
Of the injury. Yeah. They also don't, as a care home, they don't have painkillers and drugs. They can't just give her... They're not allowed to just give her stuff unless it's prescribed. No. So she was lying there. So eventually the paramedics and that got there, and they said, "Right, we're taking it to Queen Elizabeth." So I said, "Well, I'll meet you there." So I drove down, and then we sat outside the Queen Elizabeth in the ambulance for an hour. I'll never forget it. No. And of course, the paramedics, they had given her some morphine. Wasn't enough. She wasn't strong enough to take gas. It was just horrendous. Anyway, long story about that. And a lot of other stuff happened. And I'd been up all night, and I get into the car at the car park, and I was going back to our phase, and I thought, I can't go back. I'm in a state. So I did this big TikTok just to get everything off my chest. Mm-hmm. Just was in a terrible state, said everything I had to say, posted it, went home, and the thing went, I'd say viral. I think we had nearly 400,000 views.
Oh, amazing.
So, but from that, I was getting all these emails, all these messages, and emails, direct messages, everything, with other people's stories.
Yeah.
And mine was bad, but there was some that was worse. Yeah. One of them, Roseanne, that's in there, her mum's story is just horrendous. I mean, really horrendous. And so staff as well getting in touch going, well, look, nurses going, I can't do this anymore because I'm not able to do my job because of different things. So I've got another friend I met through uni when I did my doctorate, and Christina and I decided, well, we'll write. I said, I'll write a book. She said, well, I'll help you. So we came up, we did some interviews, and we wrote a book. So it's called, it's called Stories from the Front Line, People Behind the NHS Headlines.
Please jump onto Amazon and buy it, as many as you can.
Anyway, that's your Christmas done. But in that, and it was, so out of it all, 2 members of staff decided that they would tell a story. Now that they could be sacked if they were ever discovered who they were. So,
absolutely.
You know, that was, they were so brave. So brave to do that. And then Roseanne McKee, she told her mum's story, and Tracy, she told her dad's story.
Right.
And so we've put them in, and I sort of hope, I said to them, that was their personal stories. I hope we've done them proud. But,
and were they happy with it?
I've not heard from Tracy, but Roseanne said she was thrilled with it. She was really pleased. But there's a lot of, there's stories that are in there, but there's a lot of statistics.
Yeah.
I mean, and so again, like you're saying with the asthma stuff, some of it you're just...
Wow.
One thing is, in a part of Glasgow, the average healthy life expectancy, you know, the expectancy of when you're fit and healthy and running around, for men is 37.
Oh, Jesus.
37 years of age.
Wow. And
you know, that's
like
Ethiopia.
So after 37, then
they're unwell. They've got all sorts of chronic illnesses. I mean, that's one area I think. You know,
air pollution,
everything,
isn't it? Yeah,
smoking,
the drug life in Glasgow as
horrendous.
well. Yeah, horrendous.
But a lot of stuff about the Queen Elizabeth itself, the design of it, how it's not working.
Yeah,
because my mum was in a, she was in a single room because it's all single rooms. Well, if
Right.
I'm unwell and I'm in the hospital, I want a single room.
Yeah,
Well,
yes,
you
absolutely.
do. We don't want.
Yeah,
But when you're old and you would go into the ward, and again, I can't fault the nurses. They were amazing.
I'm the same. Can't fault
Cannot
any
fault
of
the
them.
nurses. And you'd go in the ward, and they would have the old people sitting in the doorways because of the design of the ward. You can't keep your eye on them in the single rooms, and so they're a fall risk. And you're thinking, well, where's the dignity? My mum sat in the middle of a doorway.
Or just sitting there so she could be looked after.
So she could be
Jesus.
looked at. And you think, and one of the nurses said, when it used to be the old days with the 4 and 6 bedded units, and you'd have the old biddy in there.
Yeah.
If she tried to get up, somebody else would go and say to one of the nurses, look, she's trying to get her bed, or she needs a glass of water or whatever. But
I remember with my grandpa when he was in, he was a right fit, healthy man right up into his 80s. And when he got taken into hospital, we didn't know he had a stomach tumour at the time, but he came out to go and say to the nurse, can I get a painkiller? And he was only in 28th of February, 28th of January, and he lived to the 28th of February in there. And he turned round, and the nurse says, I'll be in with you shortly, I'll not be long. He turned round and he fell, and his ribs had popped right out like that. And they were trying to keep him in, they actually tipped him up in the bed like that, so that he didn't so he couldn't get out of the bed.
It's awful.
And I'm not saying it's the nurse's fault, it's because there's not enough. There's just no staff. Dentists as well. I mean, my friend was telling me yesterday that her dentist only works 3 days a week through her bit. And I'm just, one guy in the whole dentist, and he's only in 3 days a week. And I'm like, I can't complain. I have been looked after amazingly by my dentist, my doctors.
I was saying the same to the taxi driver coming here the day that I've got a brilliant GP.
Yeah.
Brilliant GP, because you phone up at 8 a.m. and you get an appointment for the morning.
Yeah.
And then you can phone up at 12 o'clock, you'll get the afternoon appointment.
Oh, do you get afternoon ones as well, right?
And that's 5 days a week.
Right.
And then they have, I think twice a week they're open late for folk that are working.
Oh, that's ideal.
Why
can't they all do that? Yeah, or just have one doctor that's even working that extra bit of time at night time.
And I can't fault them. We've got brilliant doctors.
The only thing that I didn't like about in Lauren's 4-day journey in the hospital was I can't remember what day it was, but they sat me down in a room. My mum was there, my friends. I can't remember who was all in the room, right? And she says, just to let you know that's it now. That's it. She's gone. She's no brain activity. And I went, what? Just like that. And I remember she was a physician. Is that right, Mum? Physician. And she just sat there, just so matter of factly. And there was a table at this, and I must admit, I think I tossed it up in the air. I don't remember. I says, my daughter's not going anywhere. I'm taking her home the way she is, and it's my girl. I'll look after her. So my mum sat politely and spoke it over with her, and I couldn't listen.
No.
And then she done more tests, and they says that it was 2 physicians done the test, and says, no, that's it. It's the end of now. So they said to me to switch her off at 1 o'clock. 12 o'clock, I says, no, I've got family coming. I didn't. But I was just, I wanted that extra hour, and then just, the 2 nurses, I know they're on my TikTok page and my Facebook pages, and they know they're just absolute angels. And one of them actually had to take time off work after it because it affected her so badly. So we've got to remember that these nurses, doctors, all healthcare professionals, they are still people.
They are.
And
we've got a thing in the book about the number of suicides in ambulance drivers, ambulance paramedics. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm shocked.
Oh, I didn't know about
because
that.
Because obviously they go to terrible, terrible things.
Yeah.
And then they're meant to get time then off,
Yeah, but they don't have the time anymore.
Even if it's just 2 hours, but they can't because they're queuing up outside the hospitals because they can't get in. So then you've been to something terrible. Well, sorry, but there's another call. You need
you just have to go and get on with it.
And there's that whole thing about stiff upper lip and you're a macho and you're a man and go on with it, whatever. But
and actually, one of my best friends, Daniel, he's saying now that women are getting stronger, and it's young men that are. It's the world that they're living in now. They're struggling.
Yeah.
I'll talk for Scotland, as you know. I'll talk to MD. I'm not ashamed. And see if I'm having a down day, I'll put it out there. I'm having a rubbish day. It can't be helped. But
it's the way it is.
Yeah, but I think men just don't like to put out they're having a hard time.
A plumber round the other day. And he was saying he was all upset. He was talking to John, and he said, "Oh, and we've known the guy for years, but he says, oh, I've just come back from a funeral, 38-year-old.
Oh,
took his own life.
Oh, wow.
And he says, I can't, and he was saying, he says, I'm having to tell everybody because it's affecting me because it ripples it.
Of course it does.
It ripples for that. It goes saw more than the family.
I saw, Sharon Walker.
I've known Sharon and I've got involved.
Yeah, with Sharon.
With wee Harrison, who is just...
just adorable.
Oh, he's a lovely, lovely wee boy.
Sadly, Sharon's brother, Scott, many of you TikTokers will know Scott, sadly took his own life as well, down to mental health. But I saw Sharon had shared a post on Facebook the other day, and it was another family that sadly the same thing had happened to them, but people were videoing and recording the young boy's death, and that was put all over social media. I am disgusted. My stomach's churning at the thought of that.
Like that Liam Payne? See when there was photographs of his body?
I done a video about that as well.
That is disgusting.
Like, where is your manners and your scruples? I'm very lucky that Lauren's workmates, they had all made a barrier and faced out the way.
Fantastic.
Because it happened outside the restaurant with Lauren. So.
And that must have affected them.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. The poor people that she worked with,
Awful.
Thank you to Michael. I can't remember his second name, but he was a managing director at Partick Thistle at the time. I can't remember his name. But he's the one that worked on her, trying to give her CPR. So I've never saw him again since. But my heart will always be with him for trying anyway.
Absolutely.
But as I say, there's these stories that you hear. You yourself, I can't wait to get the book. When's it out?
It's out now.
Is it? Yeah. Because I'm sure it said on Amazon you can't buy it till next year.
Well, I ordered that one on Amazon because I don't really get paid much for being... I don't get paid anything. I get 4 free books.
Oh, Jesus.
I gave one to John's cousin Alan, who was really a help. He was sending me newspaper articles from the Record and stuff. And then I gave the others to the people that had done the interviews. Just to say thank you.
Yeah, well, I'll be
bought that one
definitely
myself.
Getting on and getting my one this week. I'll definitely be getting it booked. Booked, pardon the pun. So vapes, right? That's vaping culture these days. Vapes are supposedly getting banned in the UK in 2025 by the government. Do you believe them?
I don't know.
I think they'll find some way or another to always...
You've got these vape shops, so what's going to happen?
Yeah. In fact, I think it's just the ones that, the disposable vapes that's getting banned, but I think they're still going to keep a hold of the chargeable ones. So, the kids have got all the money they want these days, can't they? They can just... I done a video one time, it was a wee girl, it was on Good Morning Britain. She'd taken... She was vaping at 13 and she'd went into cardiac arrest because of it, because of her asthma. And it's just, I mean, a wee girl that I don't even know, but her story just affected me so
But it's the
bad.
fact that they've got the most smell and a tasting of bubble gum and
Yeah, make it smell of stinking tobacco if you're going to have to do it to put them off it.
It's a bit like Alka-Pops, do you remember?
Yeah,
that?
yeah, Alka-Pops, yeah.
And then there was a big thing about all the kids because it tasted like lemonade.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to go through phases. And it is natural. I do know that youngsters, they are going to want to try everything. It's natural, they do it. She was a smoker. Look what happened to her. You know, could give her into trouble now for it. 8.8% of kids from the age range, there's my number again, 11 to 17 vape in 2023. That's just 11-year-olds vaping. I mean,
It's absolutely shocking.
but then again, they can hide the smell from their parents. They might not be able to smell it off, and
they won't.
And they can get away with it. It's just, anyway. So the new smoking ban will include children's playgrounds, outside schools and outside hospitals. This is coming into meant to be. But as I was saying to my mum earlier, when I was in with the cancer, I remember there was a smoking ban then, and there was a guy going about with red jackets on and pulling you up. But you don't see that anymore. And yes, you've got your big signs outside, but there's nobody actually.
They're all smoking outside.
Yeah, I mean, you see people coming out of like lung bits, and they're still bloody smoking.
They've got their drips, they've got their oxygen.
Yeah.
Their
Or
oxygen.
they're pregnant out to there.
I know.
And that,
I know.
it just irks me. I did stop smoking when I was pregnant with them, I must admit. I was just, went right off it. I know you wanted to talk about this a wee bit, so I know we've touched on it a wee bit about mental health, the media, social media, trolls, the fakes out there. Honestly, they think they can ruin my world sometimes, but I just brush it off.
You have to. You have to just block them because you can't argue with them.
You can't.
But no.
And I know I looked at your post and some of those nasty.
Oh, some of them are terrible. And then, but there was some lovely messages when John got sick. I mean, he physically collapsed the 28th of June. It was the day after my birthday. And we'd gone away because he was going fishing. And he physically collapsed. And I'd phoned the club and said, look, he's really unwell. Just said, he might have COVID, whatever, but he's really unwell. Don't phone him. But he'd been left in the lurch. So within half an hour, because there was things had to be done. So he ended up still working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, right up until September.
How did it affect his mental health?
Oh, terrible.
Working well, physically ill.
Physically ill. So then, of course, you're mentally ill. I mean, his immune system was just utterly shot. And as I was saying earlier, he's just had flu. I've known John, 42 years, 41 years.
You could have been out for murder.
I know. Loads of times, even in America.
Yeah.
But and I think I've known John to have flu once in all those years. He's never ill.
Is he quite a happy, upbeat person?
Yeah, he can. I mean, he can be
a grumpy old sod.
He can be a grumpy old sod, but he's he's a very intense person. And we say our youngest son Adam, and he'll not mind me saying this. He's very open. Adam's bipolar. So he's got a lot of obviously had a lot of issues over the years. I mean, he's very well controlled with drugs and stuff. Fabulous barber if you're ever in Salford. He's got his own wee barber shop.
Fantastic. Have a look.
That's what he does. Bloodhound Barbering. I'll be plug there for him. But so he's always, John's always been quite. He does tend to be very bloody annoying.
Yeah.
Because somebody said to him recently, "How did you know that he was better?" And I said, "Pain in the arse."
Absolutely.
But and he's very open about the fact that this just dragged him down. I mean, he was working all these hours, and then suddenly, which was a shock, he became the lightning rod. And I would say it started the fan media. There's two people, and I'm not going to name them on here.
Absolutely not.
But there was two people in particular. Plus, and I was going to say a couple of the pundits. Again, I'll not name them.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I was saying, we've talked about this, John and I, and we were on holiday in France when it was the European Cup final. England were in it.
Yep.
And we were watching it, and obviously they lost again, which was a real shame. But anyway, they lost again. And within minutes, those pundits, Gary Lineker, Ian Wright, were slamming Gareth Southgate.
Uh-huh.
And you go, that's somebody's son, somebody's husband, somebody's father.
And he's only doing a job. Yeah.
And it's not life and death. That is a job.
Yeah.
And how would they like it if somebody can run, if you're a plumber or a builder or whatever, and I'll come round to you and go on social media, you're absolutely shit at your job.
Yeah.
And that's your fault, and that's your fault. I mean, John was laughing yesterday. He says, I think I was even blamed for the war in Yemen.
Oh, I didn't know.
Because you know how the ships were already, the world ships were already routed with this bloody steel.
Oh, jeez, oh.
And you know,
so does John just kind of let it go over his head? Do you take it more to heart?
He took that to heart. He took the whole thing to heart because he was unwell.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't do everything.
Yeah.
And eventually the doctor had said to him, I'm now saying,
no more.
Yeah. And no more. And you really can't do any more. I don't even want you to go near it for 6 months to a year.
Mm-hmm. Good.
But it's creeping back in because it was his life.
Of course it is, yeah.
And it's his
and
kids'
as I said,
lives.
it's born, you're kind of born into the life. And
but I mean, but like you were saying, the trolling, the utter trolling and the things that get said, and you're thinking, that's
do you know
not
one?
true.
Do you know one trolls on your page that stuck in my mind was somebody calling him a blazer chaser.
I know.
That one stuck in, that's sickening.
I know.
And you probably know who you are. I don't even know who you are.
I know, well, I don't
you mean
either.
nothing to us anyway.
I know.
But it's just, if you know the person behind the story.
I have to say as well, I got a lot of messages from people, like, you know, personal DMs and all that
yes,
stuff.
of course. Yeah.
And of course, and I would just write the exact same thing back to everybody. Thank you so much. Long road to recovery, but we'll get there. We're fine. We're a strong family.
Yeah.
And this one, you know, so I wrote all that, and then this guy just turned toxic, and he was a troll. And I woke up again. We were away, and I woke up the next morning, and the vile stuff this guy had written, was utterly disgusting.
Was that the one that was taken on to another media site?
Yeah,
that one. Yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely disgusting.
Disgusting,
Disgusting.
It's horrible.
The things he was saying.
And just see if you are a troll out there, why do you do it?
Well, I just say to them, no, that's your mum shouting your tea's ready, you know.
I saw that comment about the Pokemon bedding. Are we back to your single bed and your Pokemon bedding? That's the way we've got to deal with it, because we can't let people like that get under our skin. No. I had one time, I must admit, I don't have a lot of trolls, but what I've had is someone made up a fake Just Giving page in Lauren's name soon she passed. I have had the police at the door asking, can I speak to Lauren Reid when she'd been passed away for 1.5 years? Someone using her name that she'd been seen. It was they wanted her to give evidence. Not her. Fake just Instagram pages. Our dad's Facebook page get hacked, so it's her picture with his name.
It's utterly.
Do you know the one that gets me is, "Hi Mum, it's me. I've changed my phone number."
That is disgusting. I got a lot when I did that TikTok about my mum, and then obviously I did a few more, like saying how she, because people were asking how she was, and there's some of the vile stuff they were writing about my mum and dad. You're a disgusting daughter, and you know, all the stuff that, you know, they must be absolutely disgusting. Just awful vile stuff.
Yeah.
And when you're grieving and you're going through all that,
it hurts you at the time,
really,
doesn't
really
it?
hurts you at the time, and now you just go, well, actually, it says more about you than me.
See, I've got quite a hot temper. My mum will tell you, I'm quite hot-headed, so I just want to bite back and go.
So do I.
But no, I'm learning now just to let it go over my head. I mean, one account messaged me one time and said, I think it was our viral video of me lighting the candle at our anniversary, and somebody said, was her death justified? If not, who cares? So I replied back with, can you tell me what 19-year-old's death is justified? More to the point, justify your account name. Rape is normal. How can you justify that? You know, and it's just... social media, I think the platform organisers, they need to get a hold of this more. Yeah, I think maybe have some kind of ID that you need to sign up to your page or something like that. Because people like us, it can go over our heads, but, you know, we know people have taken their lives
absolutely.
with it.
I mean, we all came off X or Twitter. I mean, I came off it a few years ago because it was so toxic.
Yeah,
but once Elon Musk got it got worse and worse and worse. But of course, my kids, everybody, we all came off it because... That's their dad.
I don't actually bother with Twitter.
Awful stuff written about their dad.
And that must have hurt them as well, you know, the kids going through it all as well.
So they all went as one, they just went, right, we're off everything.
Yeah, quite right.
Really need to see this.
I don't like, I still call it Twitter because I don't even know it is X, but I don't.
But again, you know, we did have people that were, you know, really reaching out. I mean, actually, my neighbour phoned us yesterday. See, we live down in Kent, and Brian, he was over for the game. He was over because he works for a Greek company, so he was on the other side.
Oh,
but he
right.
did say, he says, Yvonne, I've got my Rangers strap on underneath my suit, my shirt. But he was over and he had said he was walking down the street and somebody he knew through business had stopped him because he knew he was John's neighbour. And he says, Yvonne, when he stopped me and then other fans realised that I knew John, they were all saying, grabbing him, saying, going to say, you know, hope he's all right and everything. So people have been incredibly, incredibly kind. It's been the minority. Yeah. But as you know, the minority are the ones that are vocal.
Yeah, yeah. And they make a lot of noise,
and
these
they
minority
make a lot
ones.
of noise and they get a lot of clickbait, you know, so...
Yeah, well, from myself and Wendy, my mum, all of us, we wish John all the best for his health in the future. So we've talked about, so I've said about Lauren's feet. So just a couple of quick fire questions for you, right? It's just a wee bit of fun, these ones, and then I'll kind of let you go. If there's anything else you want to talk about, we can do it afterwards. So what's your favourite pastime when you're not being Yvonne, the mum, the gran, the author?
Well, I've just had to give it up because look, John's retired for his... That was the other thing. John was also working full-time, you know, up until August. But he'd retired. But I used to go tap dancing.
Oh, did you?
Every Thursday.
Did John join you?
No. But, you know, I used to say to people, like... But I've had to give it up because he's retired and we thought, you know what? All our kids live all over the country. Now's the time.
Now's your time.
The last 10 years we've not been able to do it because we've had to work it around the football or the fishing, but mostly the football. So we're going to do a lot more, like going to see the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I used to go tap dancing and I was the third drunkest person in the class. So when last week, I think that was the fourth lady turned 80.
Oh, good on them.
Daphne's 86.
Good on
and
them.
She's tap dancing. She's got a wee simmer stick thing at the moment.
Oh, God bless her. Do you hear that, Mum? Do you think you'd like that?
No. But because it's really good for... It's good for your fitness, your physical fitness. But because you've got to remember the steps, it's really good for your mental health.
Yeah.
And your cognitive stuff.
I was going to say that cognitive, my brain's
brilliant.
gone.
So no, I do that and I love to cook.
Do you?
I don't
bake. What do you love to cook? What's your favourite?
I like, I'll do a lot of soups. But Scottish thing. That's
especially in this weather. Everything in the slow cooker, it's so easy.
I know, actually, because my mum was a farmer's daughter and my mum hated cooking. Couldn't cook. She was the world's worst cook. And when they died and we'd cleared out the house, she had a slow cooker that I think she maybe used twice in her life, but I've got it. So, I do that, but I don't bake because I would eat it all. So
tell me about it. I know.
So no, I don't bake.
My mum makes this most amazing, what's it called again?
Tea loaf.
And see when it's hot, a tea loaf, with bread, with the butter on it, Lurpak
So
butter,
lovely.
while it's still hot. I pick the crispy bits off the top and get my hand slapped, stay out it.
Oh, lovely.
So what is your favourite food?
For me, I love seafood.
Oh, do you?
Oh, prawns, that. My dad... Because my mum was a farmer's daughter. My mum and dad are from like East Lothian.
So do you eat the fish that John would catch you then?
He doesn't... He flipping throws them back. But if he does... I tell you what, he came in one day because if the fish's injured, he will bring it back.
Right.
But on the whole, he'll put them back in the water, does catch and release. But he came in one day, he says, I've got you a present. I was like, what have you bought me? He said, I've bought you a really good filleting knife for the fish. Because you can't fillet them. I'm like, thanks very much.
For some present that is for you.
A filleting knife. But no.
So what's your favourite music? What do you listen to?
I don't listen to a lot of music. I do a lot of podcasts.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. But music-wise...
Hence why she's here today.
I love Elvis Costello. I love The Jam. My era.
Oh, yeah. Did you wear your boots? No, you didn't.
I didn't wear my boots. Oh, my tartan ones.
Your tartan boots, yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't bring them down.
We were feeling it was a wee bit of Shang-Lang was going on
there,
wasn't it, when you got them?
But no, I love all that. I love, yeah.
Right, home, Scotland or England?
Been doing in England too long.
England's home now.
It's home.
Yeah.
And the kids laugh.
Especially because I know you're out in the countryside, aren't you? You're not...
So we're in a town. Sevenoaks is a town, but it's a commuter town, so it's a very busy little town. But where we live in our street, we're a 5-minute walk from a National Trust park.
Oh, lovely.
Or we're a 10-minute walk from actual countryside. So I can be there, but I can also be in London, 24 minutes to London Bridge for Sevenoaks.
Perfect.
On the train. So I actually been up in London twice this week, 3 times last week. Don't go up a lot, but suddenly, because John's retired, I'm going up and doing a lot. Yeah. We're going up a lot more stuff.
Go shopping. in
I
London?
know, we don't do a lot of shopping. Love the theatre.
Cost too much. Come up to Scotland.
Come up to Scotland for the shop. But love the theatre and just...
What was that you were away seeing quite recently?
Oh God, we went all highbrow and went and seen Oedipus.
Oedipus? I couldn't say the word the way you spelled it.
I know. So it's a Greek, I think it's a Greek thing. And there's a thing called the Oedipus complex. And it's about the fact that he sleeps with his mum and murders his dad. So the Oedipus complex is men that are obsessed with their mums.
Oh.
But it wasn't like in Greek language or that. It was in modern day language, and it was like like an election.
Right. Right.
And it was Mark Strong. So you'd look him up. You'd know.
Right, I'll look
him up. And got Leslie. I can't remember her name now, but again, I'll need to look her up. But like brilliant.
Great, you enjoyed
brilliant.
it, didn't you?
Oh God, it was so good. The plucking out of the eyes was a bit.
I love all that.
I know, that was a bit grim.
Edinburgh Dungeons, that's my kind of stuff.
And
I
then,
love all that.
what was it the other day? We went up with the National Portrait because John loves Francis Bacon, the artist. It's
Right.
not my thing. It's
Right.
a bit weird. But you went up and you did the Francis Bacon, like, went round and looked at all his pictures, and then you got a bacon sandwich.
Oh, I'd love
Brilliant.
that.
And a glass of bubbly. But we were like, oh, this is the life.
Spot on, you
This is
can't
the
go
life.
wrong with that. Brilliant. Dress up or dress down?
Oh, I love dressing up. And
Do
I
you?
love a hat.
Do you love a hat?
I love
do
a
you?
wedding and a hat.
Oh, do you? Do you? Lovely. See if I could just dress like this going to wedding. Did you see how nervous
Oh,
I
I
was
did.
doing that Aberdeen speech? Oh, I was so nervous at that.
At the same time, I do love my my
Your
hoodies and all
comfies.
that. Oh, I love all that.
Do you know what? I've got a T-shirt to get printed up for you. Wendy does all the
brilliant.
printing,
lovely.
so everyone that's coming onto the podcast is getting one. But we've just been up to here with one thing and another, so I will get it sent
Brilliant.
down to you. But I forgot to write it down. But one of your sons is an asthmatic, isn't he?
Yeah, Ross.
How was life with Ross growing up with
So
asthma?
Ross got up. He was asthmatic right from
From
tiny,
birth?
from
Yeah,
birth.
she was
and
the
we
same.
always wondered if, because like Stuart, he was our oldest, he's a May baby. Adam and Faye are both March babies.
Right,
Actually, Faye and my mum. Faye and my mum shared a birthday.
Oh, wow.
But Ross and John's dad shared a birthday.
Oh, that's weird.
And so I used to say, look, Ross is the second son of a second son of a second son.
Wow.
But he shared his granddad's birthday. So we wondered if it was because he was an October baby. You know, he's born and you go right
I'm
into all the
October
bugs
as well.
and the, all that stuff. But then, so he was really badly asthmatic. But I was lucky because I was a nurse, they let me have a nebuliser at home.
Yeah,
Because I knew
yeah.
how to use it, and
Yeah.
I also knew if things weren't right. And then we moved down to London, down to Kent, and he was fine because their school, their little primary school is in the country. It actually sits on the national park,
How perfect.
which is lovely. I mean,
That'd
it
be
is.
lovely
It's
going
like
to school
idyllic.
out there.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
fun to bits. There was a lot of porter cabins, but it was lovely. But it was in chaff, so that like quite often in England they do the infants, which is what we call P1 to P3, and then they move to middle school,
Middle school, right.
which is then P4 to P7,
Right,
It's the
right.
same sort of thing. So when he was in the little infants bit for the year, he was absolutely fine because we moved him from Edinburgh. He went straight into that, and he was fine. And then when he moved to the other part of the school, the asthma came back.
Right.
And we think it's because he was right at that point, right near the park, and they wondered if there was a lot of, because it was him and two other wee boys, not in his year, both called Harry.
Right.
Adam, Ross and Harry Cloak and Harry Coxon every October at the same time would all become
Always
really
taken
severe
well, yeah.
asthmatic, and they'd all be in hospital.
Yeah,
you know.
she was the same. Yeah.
And they wondered at the time if it was some sort of pollen coming off
Yeah,
the trees
yeah,
at that point,
yeah.
or off the ferns and stuff. And so once he left that school and went to secondary school, he never had another asthma attack.
So do you believe in, as a nurse, in the 7-year cycle?
I think so, yeah.
See, Vicky from Asthma and Allergy had said to me that there's not actually any
Any proof
evidence to prove
that that's it.
she had it from newborn right up to the end. You
Yeah.
know, she never
So it
got
might
rid
not,
of it at
but
all.
I always think it's maybe because he had it in Edinburgh, then we moved to the countryside.
Yeah.
He didn't have it. Then he moved to that other part of the school. It came back really
And
bad.
the air pollution wouldn't have been as bad in Edinburgh back in the days.
It
would
was
not?
really, I know. I don't know, but do you know that hair, the hair that comes off the fourth?
Yeah.
So that would be quite bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he went to secondary school, he's been fine ever since. But I've had it since I was pregnant with Faye.
Oh, you're asthmatic yourself? Oh,
Actually, I've
then-
got my asthma inhalers with me because...
Well done, you. Well done.
Because I usually don't need them, but see,
Yeah.
since I've had the flu and stress, or
Yeah,
Faye
stress, that gets
Faye
me.
is terrible, terrible with stress. Her asthma gets really badly triggered.
Was she asthmatic as well, Faye,
Yeah.
too?
She's really
so
badly
is it just
triggered.
two kids have got it and two don't?
Two don't.
Two don't, right.
Two don't.
So
But
they've
I tell
took
you though
dad's
that-
genes.
They've got their dad's genes. Actually, it'd be fair that his brother Gary's was really badly asthmatic as a
Right.
kid. But when I went, like when we'd moved house and I had to get a new doctor during COVID, and we got this new doctor and he was brilliant, and they phoned me up and they said, oh, we see you've got asthma, and I was like, oh yeah, but it's really mild. They went, no, you need to come in. And this is at a time when they were still not doing face-to-face. They went, no, you're
Yeah.
coming in face-to-face because we don't know you and you've, you know, that's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
And I used to say I was a district nurse, so I've run asthma clinics, I've shown how people how to use inhalers, and he said, how do you use your inhaler? And I showed him and he went, you've got really good technique because you know how to do it. He says, but we don't agree with that anymore. You must always use a spacer.
Yes, that's what I've been told now.
Always. And I've got it, well, I'll show you.
Do you ever get thrush?
No, and that you're meant to rinse your mouth out. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
spacer.
yeah.
But
Mine's is the big, huge, clear
tell
one
you what,
I've got. I need a new wee one.
when Ross was a baby, I've got this. I picked this up in the airport. When Ross was a baby, and we had the space, you've got all that.
Yeah.
And the spacers are huge.
Yeah.
And the asthma people said to me, right, if you've gone out, you've got the inhaler, but you don't have a spacer with you, get a cup, you put a hole in the bottom. I've got my inhaler, sorry.
No way.
Yeah, put a hole in the bottom, put your inhaler in there, put it on the face.
Wow. Did
So if
anybody
you've got
else know that?
If you've
Wow.
got a baby or a little kid and they're panicking and you can't get them because it's difficult,
Yeah.
just pick up Starbucks, any coffee shop, grab a cup, stick your finger through the bottom.
And put the
your
inhaler into
inhaler
that and
in,
breathe
put
it
it
through
over the
that.
face.
Yeah. That's
And breathe it
amazing.
like that.
And seemingly like, taking it through the spacer's meant to stop the thrush coming.
It stops the
Yeah.
thrush. And it's much, and I've got to say, because I was like, oh, that spacers are for geriatrics. And,
Or wee kids.
or wee
aye.
kids. Like my
Yeah.
granny had a
Yeah.
spacer and I'm like, And
But
he
you
went,
feel it goes right in you better,
and he
don't you?
said, don't, it goes right in you better.
And as well, it doesn't touch your
doesn't
tongue as
touch your
much.
tongue.
And,
You don't get
and
the
then
thrush.
remember to rinse. That's
Yeah, but
one
just
thing.
get the
Please
wee-
remember to rinse.
Rinse your mouth. I know I don't.
I
To be fair.
don't.
Really, I know I don't. It's really bad, actually.
And that's my campaign and I nursed it.
We don't do it right.
We're good advocates,
But
aren't
I'm
we?
using my spacer.
Yeah, I've got that spacer next to me. I must get a wee smaller one like that. I think that'd be quite easier for me to carry about.
Yeah,
Everything, I don't use a bag. Everything gets flung in my mum's bag. Carry this for me, carry that for me all the time. You got your inhaler, mum? Yeah, I've got it. Eczema, has any of your kids ever suffered eczema with it?
None of them have had it, so that's been quite good because that's miserable.
I don't know if you can see it very much in London.
Oh, you can see it, yeah. In our arms.
That was in holiday right enough, but seeing those wee bits that used to crack, and as a
yeah.
newborn baby, she knew how to scratch her
right,
head,
yeah.
and it was pus coming out as a wee
so
tiny baby.
My friend Winnie, her youngest, he's got really bad eczema. Really bad.
So sad
I
seeing the
know.
babies.
I know.
So seeing the wee, I used to have to wrap her up in bandages. She was like a wee mummy, and
But they used, because Gary, John's brother, had it, and he would be given that steroid cream. But
Yeah,
then, of course,
yeah.
but they were just giving it, and then their skin would go.
but that brought her up in big hives. So
And then
she
their-
ended up taking
oh,
big
did
lumps.
because she was allergic to it?
Yeah, she did. She couldn't use it. The only thing she could use was like Aveeno in the end, or E45. She was
yeah.
okay a wee bit with that, but Dipra-based, double-based, Dermal, that all kind of brought the big hives and blotches all up in it, and it burnt her even worse, you know.
Yeah,
And,
because they're saying as well, they were just doing it too much, and then people were left with terrible skin.
and then you get given, like, is it hydrocortisones?
Aye,
Is it
the
creams?
hydrocortisone
Yeah.
ones, that's the ones
But
that are no
then
good
you're
for you.
told only to use it for a week, and I asked for a rescue pack. See how you said you were allowed to keep the nebulizer at home?
Yeah.
I always asked for a rescue pack, and they said no. They says because if your asthma's that bad, then I want to see you.
Yeah.
Instead of like you treating yourself at
Yeah,
home.
exactly.
So,
I
but
think it's because I was a district nurse, so they knew
Yeah.
that I would know
Yeah.
when to go
Yeah.
in and when not to go in.
yeah.
But
And since I was diagnosed with this, in fact, you know what? Here's a wee bit of information. Maybe you could give me advice on this, right? So I have to go to a respiratory clinic end of this month, the 21st. But see on the back of the letter I was reading yesterday, it was saying your salbutamol inhalers and another few of them, you've not to take 6 hours before your appointment. Other inhalers, Fostair, blah, 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 24 hours. Mine, Trimbo, I'm on, right, which has got, it's for COPD, but it's got blue inhaler built into it, so it's an all-round. So I just need to take 2 in the morning, 2 at night, and I'm
you're
last all day. But it's saying to me I've not to take it for 48 hours beforehand. Now, it does say on it, if you really need to take it, then
Take
so
it.
be do it, right? But I want to phone them up and I want to say, how can you possibly tell me not to take my inhaler when my daughter died of not taking hers? And I feel a wee bit kind of, but I know they need to see me at my worst. So I'm like, how do I get round about this? Because I can't go, like, by 6 o'clock tonight, I know I'll need that inhaler. So I'll need to top it up. So I'm like, how am I going to cope with 2 days?
I don't know how you do that.
Or 2 days before it? I don't know. But I'll maybe phone them up when I go home and speak to them about that.
Yeah, because, you know, if that had been my mum or my dad, they would have stuck to the law with that when they'd have... And then even if they were ill, they would just have went, oh, no, I'm not allowed to take it.
Yeah, because I want to question it and just go, how can you possibly tell people? Because people will stick to that, and if they don't take it, we know how quickly this turned. I mean, that's... Lauren, was 9 p.m. that I got the phone call, and it was our friend saying, can you bring her inhaler along to work? Because she seemingly forgot it. My mum believes that she might have done that day, or someone didn't look in her locker to find it.
Yeah.
But seemingly one wasn't on her. But I heard her shout in the background, which was just a couple of feet away, my mum panicking. And that was my daughter's last 3 words. And there's a small asthma poem, 3 little words. And the difference is, it could be, Mum, I love you, or I love you very much. And one word could mean ambulance, one word could mean inhaler. It's just the amount of words that you can get out. You know yourself.
If you can't breathe,
you're talking, you're going, I can only say a few words. And then you just got to force it out. But anyway, so I think I've came to an end.
Brilliant.
Do you have anything you would like to ask me, or
good.
anything else you would like to speak about?
No,
Nothing?
it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Yvonne Bennett, for coming on and giving me your massive, what's the word I'm looking for? Your brain capacity. Whatever it is.
And we'll do that book.
The book, yes. No, I'm not going to say the word, the name that I've got for it. I'll tell you off camera, because let's keep it a secret. But it's just a wee children's book. What to do, we just, like, primary 1, 2 maybe, and with a couple of wee pictures on it about the wee boy that forgot he's in. Why am I saying boy? I don't know. But I have a wee boy in my head that was in a park and he forgot his inhaler. So we're going to do a story. So thank you very much, Yvonne Bennett, for coming along and chit-chatting with Lauren's Law.
Fantastic.
There we go.